The speakers, the Honourable Steve Whan in reply.
Madam Deputy President, I thank the speakers who've spoken on this, and particularly those who have taken the trouble to prepare well-researched speeches to give to us today.
You're welcome.
Who've actually, and I was going to exclude the government whip from that to his interjection. It is, I think, important that the people of regional New South Wales and, in fact, the City of New South Wales know who is standing up for them when it comes to connectivity and the internet. The Honourable Helen Westwood, who gave a fantastic example of a Central Coast animator who says that he will have to move his business to the UK if they can't get better connection speeds and the NBN. That's Planet 55, and they're currently doing a lot of work on recreating a Doctor Who episode. That's a business that employs people on the Central Coast.
You're a Doctor Who fan,
I am a Doctor Who fan, very definitely. The Honourable Paul Green, who gave a very well-researched speech and in fact surprised me with his knowledge, but I think came to the wrong conclusion in the end. He got some very interesting technical detail in what he said, and he talked about, very importantly, outlined the way that fibre to the home could future-proof a network, and I think that's a very important thing to note. Peter Phelps, unfortunately, the Honourable Peter Phelps, unfortunately, did not do any research for his. He talked about a cosmopolitan elite, but he forgot to mention that that the people he's talking about and putting in the cosmopolitan elite because they were going to get fibre to the home under the NBN was the people who lived in Young, who lived in Queanbeyan, who lived in Orange, who lived in Bathurst, who lived in Wagga, who live in Tamworth and many others. And what he didn't mention is, of course, is the 7% who are getting other solutions, including the 2 new satellites that Labor actually scheduled to put up, and fortunately the government hasn't abolished, are going to get vastly improved internet connection speeds from that. But if you load everyone onto wireless and everyone onto satellite, then those speeds will significantly diminish, a point that I made in my speech at the start of this. The Honourable Shaquette Mosselmain, who highlighted the digital divide in Rockdale and Cogra, where, like many other areas, we've seen places which are going to get Labor's NBN rolled out, and next-door neighbours who won't get it because this government isn't going to reinvest. And that goes down to a comment, a very revealing comment from Malcolm Turnbull this week, who responded to somebody who complained about being in an area with no NBN and buying a house which wasn't going to get the NBN. And he said, "Just curious, if connectivity was so vital to you, why did you buy a house where there was no broadband available?" Malcolm Turnbull's solution: if you want NBN, you should move to a place where Labor has already built it, and that's his answer.
And I don't have beach views.
I'll acknowledge that interjection. A very odd interjection, because it's entirely reasonable that the house that the government whip's just bought in Jerrabomberra should have got the NBN, and under Labor he would have got optic fibre to the premises. Under his government he won't. In Queanbeyan we've seen the amazing example of where the coalition, when it got in, took off the maps from where NBN was rolling out. They've just recently re-announced with great fanfare that part of Queanbeyan is about to get fibre to the home.
Hopefully not yours.
It's exactly the areas already getting it rolled out and contracted by Labor. The rest of Queanbeyan misses out. Haves and have-nots again. We see that in Wagga. We see that in Bathurst, whereas the Honourable Mick Veitch said the recent Jobs Summit, the NBN was the top issue for the people at the Jobs Summit, because they know that in Bathurst there is 2 suburbs, 2 brand new suburbs which are getting NBN, and the rest are going to miss out. We're seeing the Honourable Peter Primrose, who asked essentially why the O'Farrell government won't stand up for New South Wales and instead wants to go along with its masters in the Abbott government simply so that it doesn't disagree with its colleagues in the Liberal Party. And that's the essence of this motion. This government should be standing up for the people of New South Wales. And I will acknowledge that interjection from the government whip, who says we don't know the National Party if I think that, because of course they wouldn't dare to stand up against their coalition mates either on this. And it is very revealing that in this debate about communications for rural New South Wales, not a single National Party person has spoken. Not one National Party member has stood up to speak about the NBN and its importance to rural communities. This is a party who, from their positions, back in the last century would have been happy to accept the continuation of bullock drays instead of train lines, because that would have been cheaper and quicker to deliver. It's a disgraceful position for the National Party, and they should be embarrassed by their position on this
Members' time
motion.
has expired.